Councillor Carr.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks very much for the presentation. I'll do a few questions on the park as well. So just to clarify, the rooftop has now been defined as a park, correct? Right. I did ask a question earlier to come back to this public hearing on what does the park board consider the definition of park?
Well, there's a designated park. There are parks that are undesignated. There are green spaces. There's several varieties. I'm not a land use expert, but for us, our focus and our priority is on what takes place on top of the grass and above the soil and how it functions. And so when you take a look at some parks, we have artificial turf. We had hard surface areas. We have Stanley Park, which is a federal property, which we administer. But a park is a green space that functions, is accessible to the public, that the park board has jurisdiction over, and this would satisfy the criteria as part.
Okay, I did look this up. In your strategic framework 2012, green space is defined as land that is protected from development. So, and I decided to go back to the Vancouver Charter to see if there's a definition of park in that. It's not completely clear, except to say how a park is designated. In Section 488 of the Vancouver Charter, this might be a legal question. But in that section, it talks about parks under the jurisdiction of the park board as being the places that are designated designated as permanent public parks in a manner described in subsection 5. And in subsection 5 of the Vancouver Charter, it actually talks about real property. And I know that airspace is property, but I need to know legally, is airspace real property?
To get a real lawyer, I think.
Madam City Manager.
Thanks, Mr. Chair and Council. Councillor Carr, I think that we can certainly take that question back and during the course of this hearing get an answer, but I think the concept here is that as we create green space in a city that is growing and where more people are arriving, we are taking, as the planners, Mr. Drobat pointed out in his opening presentation, we are actually taking every opportunity that's available to us to create green space in a place where there's only so much land available to us. So, whether when the Vancouver Charter was first written, real property as it referred to park space contemplated, a large rooftop facility that is going to be quite a remarkable piece of green space where there hasn't been any, is likely that they did not contemplate that because we're many, many years down the road from when that statute was written. So I think that, whether or not it actually envisages that, this is the way the world is going. And I think at this point what Mr. Brownlee is saying is that the park board welcome green space on the ground, on the roof, as long as it's usable, programmable, is accessible to the public. And that's really the concept and the approach that we've been taking here.
Madam City